So the first thing I want you guys to notice is look how much longer this search query is and specific it is than what someone would normally type in Google. And so that's the big thing. The biggest thing that we have to start wrapping our head around is the search queries are actually much longer and much more specific, which has pros and cons. The pro is there is more specific keywords that your company can start to rank for. Where before, it might have been a shorter search. It might have just been like best healthcare IT, right? You want to use as few words as possible. And so, uh, okay, is this still running? I'm evaluating vendors software. So this gives us more opportunity to rank on these specific keywords. The other component is the best of framing is the best thing that we can type into. More than 60, between 60 and 70% of, no, 74% of queries start with the best of framing. So what is the best of X for usually Y industry, right? And so we want to understand that this is how people are searching for these industries. So while this is taking a little bit too long to to give me a response, we will come in here and awesome. Okay, so we got 3 options. LLMs usually return about 3 to 5 options. So it looks like we have Datavant, Vatica Health, Cozeva. Curious, Leslie, are these competitors that you guys know? Awesome. Are they kind of the massive obvious answer? Okay, cool. So, right, so what it's doing is it is searching, if you actually look at this, it is searching and finding, the sources to cite. And so how the whole question and the whole framing of this is how do we interject ourselves into those results? And so we have to start working on 3 components, right? There are 3 key components to ranking on AI search. We need really exceptional on-site content, so owned content. You can see this is pulling from Datavant's actual website. That's not always the case. We also need to worry about offsite, right? Other publication, other resources in these industries are putting together their own best of lists, these listicles. And so you need, and sometimes, and most of the time, it depends on the industry, those will actually be cited more than someone's owned website. And so it's very important to be featured and referenced in those offsite articles. And then third is technical. So technical is the component that, make sure that your website is crawlable and scannable by LLMs, and making sure that, some of the basic SEO best practices are still being applied. And so if we want to understand how we can make these improvements and where to start, we first need to have a baseline of where we are today. We have put together a free AEO audit tool. And I'll just say, all of this is kind of unnecessary. Infer science. And we can come in here and revenue is just estimated. That helps us, the revenue input helps us understand kind of like who's actually a competitor, right? Who's at the same level of you versus just always looking at those massive companies, right? So if you put in best CRM and you're a new company, we don't want to just see that HubSpot dominates, right? That's probably obvious. It's better to understand, maybe how are we doing compared to like Pipedrive or, some of the other new modern CRMs. And what this tool does is it goes and it actually builds ICP personas and goes and runs a bunch of queries like what's the best X for Y industry, in addition to other queries those personas might be searching in their buying journey. And so it's going and it's running those searches. It's also scanning the website to understand kind of how you are on a technical side of things. It's going and looking at your content. It's also going and looking to understand your entire entity authority, right? Entity authority is the all-encompassing perspective of how you're ranking.